back in. Cool. So, couple of tidbits, and I'm just gonna. I have some things to say, not a whole lot, but we can answer questions and go wherever we need to from here. Or if we're all done, we can wrap up. But so sorry, I'm pulling up my document. Where is it? There it is. Okay. Couple of things that are different mechanically, I should say, mechanically different in D&D this season, because these mechanical differences are somewhat necessary in order to accomplish the story, the storyline, the way the world works. One is that, like I said about the towns and stuff, I'm going to have y'all all start as basically like a level 0 character. You'll become kind of the first level of hero with a little bit of effort, but at first you're just, refugee or whatever. Matt, your Oval's mode is actually really relevant. The kind of magic he does, the druidry that he does. I'm going to have a cheat sheet that I'll put together for all of you, and it's going to have material components for every spell. And as a matter of fact, and you'll have to find them. As I mentioned some previous time, I like a little bit of bookkeeping. A little bit of like scarcity of resource and some stuff like that. So you're going to have to find the stuff that does different kinds of spells, and there'll be some interesting violations of level restrictions in some ways. But basically, every spell will have only material components.
So,
and concentration.
Here are my questions about that.
Yeah.
Does it matter? So I'm a druid, right?
Right.
So the way it normally works for me is that when I wake up in the morning, I pick from a list of all the druid spells that I'm of an appropriate level for.
Mm-hmm.
So I can have like 3 first level spells,
mm-hmm.
and I pick them in the morning, and it takes me like 1 minute per level per spell
mm-hmm.
to get them in my head, and then I can use spell slots to cast those. What if I get the components for a 6th level spell?
Great question. So, first of all, we are still going to use the concept of spell level, and all that stuff is there, and of preparation. And what's going to happen is you may discover things about how to use componentry, but you may not have the magical prowess or wisdom to actually do it with those components.
Right.
Like to make the thing happen. So I'm going to make up one that I'm not actually planning on having, but let's say you had an apple, and it just pick something really absurd, and when you throw it, it turns into an apple pie, right? But it's an 8th level spell, right? It's an 8th level power of magic that fruit has in it, and you chuck it.
Really big apple pie.
What's that?
It's a really big apple pie.
It's a really powerful apple pie. It has a lot of cinnamon. But when you chuck it, right, if you don't have kind of what it takes, you threw an apple, and it just stays an apple, right? It's just an apple, with the note that I'm probably going to have some random die rolls where it's like, does it accidentally happen or not? Maybe you throw it one time and it's like, what the crud? Not everything's going to be throwing an apple. It's it's going to be various kinds of things. So in your case, Matt, as you figured some things out, and you have, whatever, like, what was the gnome cantrip you have?
Minor illusion.
Minor illusion. So one example will be possibly there's a certain kind of feces. I'm just making something up, but a certain kind of feces and moss that when you use them in a certain combination, and it's a low enough level that you really get it intuitively, and you can just do that. And maybe the components are reusable, which is the cantrip level thing of that. And so you can do it at will as long as you have got them in your pocket, something like that. So anyway, that said, instead of using spell slots the same way, we're going to be using your actual inventory, and you're not necessarily going to have infinite of everything. Right?
So instead of spell slots, we're using inventory.
We're going to, let's say it this way. That's what I'm currently planning on. Let's see if that works.
Okay.
But I should also say there's some, I know something you don't know. But that's what we're going to start with and figure out.
Okay. So I do have to prepare the spell if I have like 5 different kinds of components.
Yeah.
But I can only prepare 3 spells. I have to choose in the morning which ones I want to prepare. But if I have 20 each of those 5 things, the 3 that I prepare, I could cast 20 times each.
Yeah, something like that.
No problem.
Right.
Okay.
Noting that, like, if one of the components is the size, like for like an apple, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're a gnome,
here's another question.
you're not going to have 60 apples.
Right. Here's another question. Are these the same rules for cantrips?
Yeah. All magic.
So we should not. So, for instance, wizards usually depend on cantrips for their round by round fighting ability. Instead of swinging a sword at somebody, they use a cantrip.
Right.
We should not build our characters that way. We should say, okay, cantrips we might not be able to use all the time.
No, because not every component is consumed. So cantrip level
Okay.
stuff, you could have a thing that as long as you have it, you're using it. A bit of
So are all. So like for a druid, druids have thorn whip, which a lot of druids are like. They use that instead of any kind of physical attack usually.
Or
Okay.
shillelagh.
At least at first level, or they use shillelagh.
Okay, I'm looking it up. 1 sec. Go ahead. You can keep going.
Would my thorn whip be a consumed component, or would it be not?
Right. Wouldn't a cantrip be something that's like either focus based or non-material, since it's something that you should be able to do all the time?
Yeah, so because of the nature of the season, which a couple of you know a little bit about, like I said, I have to play with the way magic works a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But that said, yes, there is also a focus concept in this, where this is something your characters will not know initially, but pretty early on, you'll have an opportunity to get something like a focus, and it'll just allow you to do the same spells that you learned, except without the materials.
Okay,
but it's a thing that happens that'll evolve a little bit.
should I count when I'm building my character? Should I count on being able to always do a cantrip, or should I assume that I might not be able to do this cantrip, and I should make sure that I have something else I can do?
Count on being able to do the cantrip. You can do the cantrip. It might be something like what's needed for that is, for example, for some of the spells, like it's like some of them will be like some yew leaves, right? One of the things, magical stuff is not rare here, right? Remember, the forest is full of it. So a very, very common trade item will be, for example, some yew leaves that were pressed into a medallion. You just have it on your neck. You've always got some you can rub. They don't use up, and that cantrip's available. So, it's
nice.
That kind of thing. That's great. Those are all obviously really good questions. As far as the focus thing goes, like I said, that's something we'll figure out. You'll see how that's working out, and it's going to come up pretty quickly. You're not going to be like, it's not going to take 3/4 of the season to get there. But you will. There will come a point at which it'll be possible to cast the spells without the material components, or rather, I should say, in the normal way, as long as you have your focus.
So if you have your focus, it becomes spell slots.
That's right. Or you could also use your components too. You can continue using components, so you have a little bit of extra power. But remember, none of you's a fighter, right? People don't fight in this environment. Like, there's no warrior-y axe type of stuff, because, or there could be, but why would you? There's like fire berries and junk all over the place. You know, there's spooky action at a distance. You know, so if somebody comes at you with an axe, and you've got a, you know, I don't know, like something that will summon a brood of blur vipers at them, like, the axe dude dies. Not to say there's no weapons, right? You're a big, strong orc, and there's Josh. One of the things I was saying is, like, throwing components matters, and that's going to do things like range and power. And also, there will be some things like Thorn Whip as a great example, which I believe creates a whip, right? And it acts like that or something. So there's ways.
But I think it's like it's not there after 1 second.
Okay.
I think it's just there for long enough to whip somebody with.
I thought there was a duration on it, or is it just an instantaneous cast? So you have to have the thorn for focus, and the spell is that you can sling it and it activates or whatever.
So regardless, I mean, not regardless, we can figure that out. But Josh, having a character with strength is not a waste. Like,
right.
with a key strength component, that's going to matter.
Right.
Okay, so let's see. What was I going to say? Oh, yes. Here's a super, super important one. Your background is actually terrific for this, Josh. One of the things you may have read through, if you read the prologue document in detail. Let me find the little section for you. Okay, here you go. Here's one of the good sections that describes this. And this is super important for you guys. The world exists with you in a forest of some kind. And the forest that you're in has trees of normal, like, oak tree type of heights. We're talking 40, 50, 60 feet. You know, and above you, that, like in your case, Josh, with a jungle, a rainforesty thing that could be 100 feet, and they're making a canopy over you, right? But you will also come to trees that are ridiculous. I'm talking about the circumference.
Mountain-sized.
They're quarter mile, right? Or whatever. And above them, above the tree, above your forest, an unknowable distance up, is another canopy of trees, of these giant trees that are much more spread out, much more whatever. And you more or less ignore these giant trees because, like, what are you going to do? Like, cut down a branch? It doesn't even make any sense. It's Paul Bunyan level stuff. However, if you do find one of these really, really large trees, which are not rare, it's just, they're distant like trees are. If you do find one of those really big trees, you might occasionally find a cave system in the trees, like, or whatever. You might find stuff, etc. Here's why this matters. Everybody knows that there's a tree cover over you, the lesser trees, and then there's these great trees that produce this canopy. And of course, there's that people hypothesize illegally that there may even be trees above them making a third canopy. Hey, it might be canopies all the way up. That matters because there is not bright light in this world. And as a matter of fact, illegal lore has it that the days are getting dimmer. Some people, as a matter of fact, Oval might be an example of this. Some very old people in the jungle have false memories, let's call them, that, boy, when they were kids, days were a little brighter and things were just a little bit nicer, right?
Mm.
Here's why. Here's one of the reasons this matters. There's a mist that's constantly ebbing and flowing through the jungle. It's a magical mist. You don't exactly see it, but it's just magic and it's heavy in the air. The air is just pregnant with magic everywhere. And you know that, right? Because everything's magical. The animals are everything's magical, right? One of the effects of this and of the dimming of the world is that none of you have night vision.
Mm.
That means that the day is, well, like it says here, what is known with certainty is that throughout the jungle and around every road, village, and town, the nights are unqualified blackness, and the days are a dusky yellow-green twilight.
Mm.
It is black at night. You light your torches at night, or actually anytime there's a fire, and you won't know this because there's no way you would know this, but the light doesn't shine as far as it should.
Mm.
It's a suppressive gloom, fog, magic hovering over everything. So, no night vision, torches matter.
You can go into D&D Beyond,
Okay.
and if you click on your character sheet, if you click on the word senses on the left,
Okay.
you can click to customize your senses. And if you put a 0 in the dark vision distance, it will take the word dark vision off of your character sheet
Oh, nice. That's cool.
for you.
I will-
Just in case anybody cares, I just did that.
Good. So that's another kind of accounting that's going to be necessary, is that your torches will matter and they will not last forever. That said, there are also stuff that you can find that'll allow you to make light spells of various. There are light spells, right, that some people have. You probably are not going to be trying to move around at night without a light. It's black.
Okay.
So
Let's-
that means. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go on.
So that means get a light. Have some lights with you, and also, again, if you find there will be, some things that glow a little bit, absolutely keep them. There'll be some things that have a magical glow. They create a ball of light, or there's spells that do that kind of thing. Absolutely, those are treasured, because again, if you're the only one who can move at night, that's a power.
I have this question. Let's talk about, because I've actually am building my character on D&D Beyond.
Cool.
Up in here right now, and let me go through, because I picked the hermit background.
Uh-huh.
It seemed most similar to my character.
Okay.
One of the things that it gave me as equipment was a bunch of written material about like my visions and religious experiences, and I clicked not to have that, because he wouldn't have that. That would be illegal in this world.
Which is okay, but
That's outside of his character anyway.
Yeah.
But let me go through what I do have.
Okay.
And you can tell me what my character would actually have and would not have. Blanket, bedroll, backpack, common clothes, druidic focus.
That is something you'll come to later.
Okay, I will subtract my druidic focus. Herbalism kit.
Yeah.
This
okay.
is like, I guess, a box with like tinctures of whatever and stuff that I can use to manipulate herbs that I find.
Yeah, those are not going to be things like glass, though. More likely, they're going to be, if you have any little files or whatever, they're going to be bamboo.
Here, I'll read the description. This kit contains a variety of instruments such as clippers, mortar and pestle, and pouches and vials used by herbalists to create remedies and potions. Proficiency with this kit lets you add your proficiency bonus to any ability checks you make to identify or apply herbs. Also, proficiency with this kit is required to create antitoxin and any potion of healing.
Yeah, that's totally cool. Noting that your any kind
It's
of
not
vials.
glass. It's
Yeah.
like clay vials or something.
Yes. Importantly, it's not going to be something you can see through,
Okay.
which means you have
Um,
to know what they are.
leather armor,
Um, yeah, that's fine.
which I think of as like sturdy leather clothes.
Yeah, it's going to be. You may have come across some beast, or maybe you even killed something that was trying to kill you, and you spent some time tanning. You know, that's all. That's possible. Or you maybe traded for it.
Mess kit, quarterstaff, rations, 10 rations.
Sure.
Rations are food for one day.
Y'all basically, as long as you're out in the jungle, you have unlimited food.
Okay.
It just grows everywhere.
Um,
Noting that some of it may have magical and unfortunate side effects. So rations are safe.
my character would probably not. Well, maybe he would. My character might not find the druidic spell Goodberry very useful.
Well, good berries can be safe berries.
That's true, and they heal you.
Okay, yeah, so
They
great.
give you 1 hit point, which normal food does not. Hempen rope, 50 feet of it. A wooden shield.
Sure.
A tinderbox.
Tinderbox. Yeah, that's fine. If what that means is like flint and not steel, probably something like flint that you're making sparks with.
Well, so it says the small container holds flint, fire, steel, and tinder, usually dry cloth soaked in light oil used to kindle a fire. I think we can say it doesn't have steel, but it does have whatever means we
Yeah.
use to light a fire.
Absolutely.
Because people do it somehow.
Yeah, sure. You totally can light a fire, and that's a good thing.
10 torches and a water skin.
All sounds great.
So, guys, I got rid of my, what was the thing that I got rid of? My totem or my
you're familiar.
focus.
Your focus.
So if you're creating your character and it gives you the option to get a focus, don't. We don't have those yet.
Yeah. Cool. Anything else, Josh or Dave?
Oh, I've got a pouch with 5 gold.
A pouch with 5 gold. Let me think about that here. There is mercantile exchange.
That was in my starting equipment,
Right.
but you should feel free to edit it.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of money. My thought had been that most exchanges barter, and not there's no mining to speak of aside from what the Iron Bell forces, and then they get the proceeds from it. You know, in a kind of like Old West sort of way. What I would say instead of that is something like I don't know if this is a thing you can track on this or not, but like 5 copper,
Yeah.
or like even as much as like 20 copper or something like that.
Currency that exists in D&D is platinum, gold, electrum, silver, and copper.
Okay, you've
Copper. Silver is worth 10 coppers. Electrum is worth 5 silvers. Gold is worth 10 silvers. And platinum is worth 10 golds.
Okay. I'm happy for you to have something like up to a, because you do not probably spend a lot of money. So when you get it, you probably keep it. So I would say you probably have in the neighborhood of up to maybe 5 silver,
Okay.
which is, by the way, in this environment that we're in, quite a bit of money. Not like
I'm rich.
you're not like vastly wealthy, but people would be surprised and murderous if they found out that you had that much silver.
Yikes.
Okay.
Anything else, Josh or Dave?
Nope.
No, I don't think so. I've got
So Robert,
a
it might
notepad up, and I'm filling in the questions that you've got on the template for the character creation thing.
Cool.
it might be useful, the things that we just went over about my inventory and money
Uh-huh.
that are different from the normal starting equipment. It might be useful to make up to write that down officially to distribute to like Jackson.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, because as a cleric, I'm supposed to start, I think, with some armor and a weapon. Is that okay?
Depends on the armor and the weapon.
Okay. Yeah, let me pull this guy up. So,
But definitely, what we should say is, because in like the way me and Josh ran our games, inventory management was not the most important thing.
Right.
mhm.
Like in season 2, I'm not going to call you on whether you have enough torches.
Right.
But season 3, it's very important. So everybody should make sure to run your character's starting inventory past Sir Robert.
Yeah.
Make sure he gets to review it.
And I'm gonna,
So-
like I said, I'm gonna produce a sheet that we can use to track your items, and I'll keep track of them too for you. Just like what your components are that you found and stuff like that. Go ahead, Josh.
Oh, a warhammer.
I am okay with a warhammer if the head of the hammer is wood.
Okay. All right. Scale mail, leather armor, or chain mail. The scale mail can be made of, some sort of big river fish or something like that.
Yeah. How good is scale mail in this? What does that mean?
Not as good. Well, let me pull this up. All right. All righty. So,
Excuse me.
come on. Here we go. So, scale mail is not as good. That's 2 points low. I'm proficient in heavy armor, like chainmail. But chainmail would put me at a AC of 16. Scale mail would put me at a AC of 14.
Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give you bone mail,
Okay.
which is gonna be leather armor with that you have put bone into in a kind of Japanese samurai type armor, where it's like reinforced leather, stronger.
They have studded leather,
A studded
but
leather.
the idea is that it's studded with metal, whereas you're saying it would be studded with bone.
Yeah.
So that would be light armor. So you're saying I would need to try to find something heavier.
I'll make you some custom armor that's heavier than that, heavier than light.
Okay.
Are there 3 levels? Is it medium, light, medium, heavy, or is it just light and heavy?
Yeah,
Light,
light
medium, and heavy.
light is 11 or 12, medium is 12 to 15, heavy is 14 to 18.
I'm gonna make you some medium armor that's
Okay.
studded leather version. Do you want it to be bone, or would you rather have wood?
I sent you a link, Sir Robert.
Sure.
Or in the chat.
Yeah, bone would be great.
Okay, I that's just more for like cosmetics as far as what it's made of, but if it fits your character. And when I say bone, it's likely to be animal bone, although you're welcome to have, if there's some reason that you have like some enemies and those are the ones whose ribs you have over your ribs or something. I don't know. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Matt. I see the thing. Let's see. Medium, hide, chain shirt, scale mail, breastplate. So are you more of like a... you're not a barbarian type. I know you're not a barbarian at all. You're a druid, so you're not going to be wearing like just crude hide.
Yeah, so I think his people in the lore of the village, they exist in a delta area,
Mm-hmm.
and so year round they're farming eels, and then when the seasonal fish come in from the lake and go up through the delta area, up the river, they like salmon runs, they fish for the fish at those times, and then year round they are using the reeds and they're weaving them together. So that's about as much that's about as artsy and fanciful and complicated as their technology gets, is that they're decent at weaving these reeds and working them.
Yeah, you know what we might do actually. Now that you're saying that, if I'm trying to find on D&D Beyond equipment. How do I find just equipment? Oh, equipment. Here we go. And then scale mail. I'm just trying to see, is that something that would be normally starting equipment for your character?
Scale mail is one of the three options. So for my starting equipment, I can have either scale mail or leather armor or chain mail.
And you prefer of those something on the neighborhood of scale for your characters?
I mean, I would prefer chainmail, but I understand the
Yeah,
world
no
that we're
chain.
starting out in. So,
But how about we do this? I'll let you have scale mail, and in the story of it, it is just pick a normal piece of scale mail. But in the story of it, it is from a giant river crocodile. It's basically leather of a crocodile, like big old
Okay.
thick scaly hide. Good.
All right. Yep. And then you can either have a priest's pack or an explorer's pack. I guess he would probably have the priest's pack because his profession was shaman. It was a big enough village that
And
he
more or less,
stayed
nobody is an explorer. You have to be
healer,
dumb or
apothecary.
crazy to be an explorer.
What?
You'd have to be stupid or crazy to be an explorer in this world.
Yeah. And then instead of a shield or a holy symbol, a shield and a holy symbol, which can be an amulet, an emblem, a reliquary, a holy symbol, something like that.
Mm-hmm. I'm okay with the shield as long as it's wooden.
Yep.
Or you can stud it with. You can also make it match with the giant crocodile's belly or whatever. You can put that over the front. Leather. You don't have any kind of amulets and stuff that are metal. Metal's relatively rare.
So a reliquary, like can it be like a piece of glass?
You know what we'll do?
Nothing beautiful or fancy, but like something like a something that is the effect of a lightning strike striking into the ground. Maybe it's not even glass; it's just some sort of molten fused rock and a little bit of glass or something like that. I'm just trying to think of something related to lightning.
Yeah. So I am going to start each one of you off with 2 magical items. One that's like relatively common and one that's less so, and I haven't decided the second level yet. For a reliquary, what does that do for you?
I think it's just
a religious item.
Yeah, it's something that I've got, because then if I've got a holy symbol, that's what I use.
Okay.
A prayer book or a prayer wheel. I don't know what the prayer wheel is, but it seems like a wheel would be more appropriate to an orc living in a delta area than a book.
Okay. How would you feel about a prayer wheel? Is looks like a little drum type, like a little, or whatever. Doesn't matter. How would you feel, Josh, about your reliquary item being something like one thing that is more common than metal here is rough or uncut gems.
Okay.
There's no mining, but you find them sometimes, like just whatever. So how about something like a staff, rod or something of a branch, I'm just making stuff up, that grew around a gemstone of some kind, and you can see the gem in it, and it's like has been then carved a little bit. You can play with those concepts, come up with something you think is really good. and that may even be able to be one of your magic items if you like.
Okay.
We can make it one of the elements.
I have a question, Sir
I'm
Robert.
going to unclick a pouch containing 15 gold pieces and just move on.
You can have for Josh. You're a cleric. I would say take up to something in the neighborhood of 15 copper.
Okay.
I have a lot more money than him.
You have a lot more, but you don't spend it much, right? You didn't try to give it to the poor in your village. You didn't try to cleric with it.
That is very true. Here's my question, Sir Robert. What I need to decide how I'm going to balance my character's stats. By the way, I'm using the you should make sure that we're all on the same page here. I'm using sort of by default the standard array of ability scores. 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, and 8.
Uh-huh.
I believe that Josh usually likes to actually roll his up.
No, I did the point by. So I've got 17, 8, 16, 8, 15, 8.
Do you have a preference, Sir Robert, as to which way of creating our ability scores we use?
Standard or point by?
Say that again?
Standard or point by?
I also did not hear you the first option.
Standard?
The standard
Okay.
array or point by?
Awesome. So I have to decide how much I'm going to value dexterity and stealth checks. And so I want to know your ruling on what it takes to hide behind a 5 foot by 5 foot by 5 foot minor illusion that I created myself. My ruling would be that you need a stealth check to stay hidden inside, if you're smaller than 5 feet, like a gnome is, to hide inside of a minor illusion that you made. But some DMs say, no, there are spells that give you invisibility, and those spells do that. You can't use minor illusion to get the effects of the invisibility spell.
Right. So
I think that's bogus, but it doesn't matter what I think.
this world is darker. It is easier to hide in general. I will require stealth checks for all that stuff. It is okay with me if you use minor illusion for stealth, noting that anybody who can detect magic will know that, right? Hey, there's an illusion, or there's something magical here, whatever. But
Right.
you could hide behind it, and especially given your pigpenish ways, that's the way you described Oval's approach is he's using somebody else's problem field.
Yeah, Oval's approach to stealth is to try and look like trash.
Yeah.
And he uses wearing actual trash, but then also like any parts of his like sturdy leather armor that may be showing, he will probably disguise in some way with minor illusion.
Yeah, and I think that's totally fine. And using that and doing a stealth check, sometimes you'll have advantage, sometimes you'll have disadvantage. In general, probably all of you will have often a bonus on stealth if it's early morning or twilight, because it's already a dark world. So
It's generally hard to find people here.
It is, except for animals. They're smelling things and trying to hunt you and whatever. But yeah, if you're searching for somebody, people are going to try. They're going to use a lot scrying, or they're going to use, talk with animals or whatever, speak with animals, and maybe look around.
Here's a question that I have. One of the things about this world is that magic is fairly common. Spells are fairly common.
Yeah. Ubiquitous.
Once you get into like 3rd level spells, 4th level spells, you get to some things that have would have like big important economic consequences and stuff like that.
Yeah.
What level or what kind of spells should we consider like commonplace, and what would be more rare?
Spells that um, affect the physical world, like good berries, where it's something that somebody who's very practical minded would have a mind to use from time to time. Those are common. You're not going to have fireball. For one thing, as is mentioned, I think in the preface document, because you're in a really big forest, significant use of fire gets the full and immediate extreme punishment from the Iron Bell. You do not burn his forest. So, as an example, there's not going to be a lot of like people casting create bonfire or fireball. Creating springs, water, sure. Creating stuff like that, even occasionally. Sorry, I don't have like a. Let me pull up some spells because I don't have a whole list of them off the top of my head.
Well, like here's a list of druid spells like that my character would be looking at.
Tell me.
Like dark vision is a 2nd level spell. Hold person, heat metal.
Hold person totally is available. I'm not going to say that you're going to have infinite of those resources, but that's something that I'll make not a very rare thing, because that's something that you're going to use in combat. People would use that if they discover some moss that does that or whatever. What was the other one you just said?
I don't know.
Sorry, let me sort by level on these spells. And okay, I got the spell list. I'm sorting by level. Chill touch is definitely, something that would be usable, normal-ish. Probably blades of various kind you can probably reasonably find. People would use them to make like not so much like booming blade, but more like booming plow, or something like that, right? As far as I'm just looking through, those are cantrips. Mage hand would actually be a little less common, because that's not something where it's like you make a potion of mage hand and then you drink it and there's a mage hand that does a thing. It doesn't make sense as a way that people would be thinking about it. Mending would be common. Mold earth would be pretty reasonably common. These are all cantrip level. Let me get past the cantrips.
Yeah. So like 3rd level, you get into things like water walk and water breathing, speak with plants, meld into stone.
Water breathing
Stuff.
Water breathing is pretty common. Speak to plants is fine. It's probably not like super common, but it'd be there and around.
Okay.
Keep going.
Because like if water breathing is common, then are the Iron Bell like going into the rivers to hunt people out when people hide in the rivers from them?
When I say common, I mean something like I don't mean that everybody's got some water breathing that they keep on them.
Okay.
I mean more like, yeah, if you wanted to acquire something, you could get something somewhere within anything you could buy within a week or two, if you tried, is going to be common. Like a week, you could find somebody who'd sell you some in next town over. Anything that would take you a month to get is going to be getting, basically that's how I'm going to schedule it. How long will it take you to get it if you put focused effort? So a 2nd level spell called Cordon of Arrows. I'm just picking some things, which I assume is just a bunch of arrows. That's something you'd probably be able to get in a day or two if you were like, I'd like to go get some whatever.
Right. So, but like there's 4th levels. The reason I'm asking is partly also to get you thinking about it.
Yeah,
because the designers have been deliberate about the effects that a spell would have on the world if it's commonly used.
Absolutely.
So once you get into 4th level, it's like conjure minor elemental
Yeah.
and control water and dominate beast and polymorph for 4th level.
And all of those are something that would be like, if you put some effort into it, your village could, come up with some control beast or polymorph. You could get enough to do that if you had some wolf that kept prowling around eating your people. If you put your minds to it, you could do that in a month. You could find somebody who'd find it. Or you may even have some that is like you're loath to use it because you only got like 1 or 2 charges of it, but you could if you needed to.
And 5th level, you get into stuff like insect plague, planar binding, scrying, geesh.
I don't know what that is.
That's the one that makes people do something.
Like command?
It's slightly different.
Okay. So basically 5th level is going to be probably mostly very uncommon. Or not, I would say. Here's an example. Ray's dad. Right? If your town has some Ray's dead stuff, like you could do it once or twice, you would not tell, and you would hide that from the tribute captains. So
okay,
at the risk of killing your town,
okay.
killing it. So 5th level is going to be like you don't have that. Probably.
Nice.
I mean, it's possible some town might have something. Also, there's going to be a little bit where it's like off, like scrying, relatively common. Magic's around enough, you can spy. You might not notice anything because you're like, well, they're in the forest. It doesn't do you any good. But the ability to see something from far away. But on the other hand, what's this one called? Legend lore. I'm just picking one. That'd be relatively uncommon, but not terrible. Sorry, I'm just looking at one thing that would just not be around, which is like a 2nd or 3rd level spell, is Moonlight. Moonbeam, whatever it's called.
Yeah, Moonbeam is a 2nd level spell.
None of you have ever heard of the sun or the moon or stars.
My goodness.
Remember, there's no such thing as a sky. There's just the canopies above.
Touche. Well, Matt, sounds like we need to invent hot air balloon travel in this world.
I think we would pop our balloon on a tree fairly instantly.
I don't like your can't-do attitude.
Get eaten by some giant bird or bug.
Every season needs to have some sort of civil engineering solution to the world's problem.
Sweet.
So far, every season that answer has been flying ships.
Right. Matt, I'm going to give you a quick rule of thumb, although I'll think about this more and make it, but a quick rule of thumb is the level of spell is how many weeks of effort, not like dedicated all full-time gung-ho, but if you're putting your mind to it, how many weeks of effort it takes you to get the stuff for that.
Okay. That makes sense. That's a good rule.
What I would like then also, and I'll tell other people this, tell me, it doesn't have to be now, but you can, at some point, tell me one common item that you would like for your character to have. A magical item, common magical item. And also, sorry, let me get this here. How do I, let's see, spells, items, so its own little thing. magic items. Let me just look at a couple of. What is a rare item like? Okay, I got enough. It's trying to make. Source, here we go. Just regular old sources. Okay, that makes sense. So what we'll do is tell me a common and an uncommon item that you'd like, and I'll either say sure, no problem, or say this one works, or but we need to change this one, or change it in this way. Fair enough?
Yep.
Also, I will give, once I have the list of, what do you call them? Material components available. I will give each of you a starting chunk of components pertaining to the skill, the magic spell stuff that you've chosen. You'll start with some of those.
Should I come up with an uncommon and common magic item for my wish list as well? Or
Yeah,
is that
everybody should.
okay. All right. I'll be right back.
All right, cool. Hey, also, this is not an issue for Josh, but you both should know. Everybody should know this. You will be forced sometimes. Well, not forced. I'm not going to force you, but circumstances will occasionally force you to either fight physically or die. So, don't just crank up wisdom and intelligence, for the magic-y things. Even though you're a wizard, have some strength or con or dex or whatever, because you'll be glad.
Don't go munchkin.
I've spent a lot of time shoveling. I know how to handle the quarterstaff.
Yeah, you probably got a strong immune system too. That constitution.
I'm sick a lot,
Yeah, fair enough.
but I've probably already gotten whatever it is.
That's right. That's right. So you might have good strength, Matt. Not like awesome, but you are going to have to fight, and you're going to have to fight more than you want. Everybody's going to have to fight more than they want. Physically. I'll tell Josh that when he gets back, but that'll be less of an issue for him. Let's see.
Druids can fight a little bit.
Yeah. Hey, Josh.
Yes, sir. Oh, yes, sir.
I was just telling them this is going to be less of a problem for your character because you've already built the Orky character. But
And I have the
because-
note ready to go for backup.
great, that's good. Actually, I'll tell you about that in a minute. But I was going to say, just because of the nature of the environment, and like I said, the tracking of your components, and I'm going to have randomness involved somewhat in what's available. You are going to, everybody's going to have to fight physically more than they want to.
Mm.
So even though I'm having you be a wizard or, some magic user, there's going to be a significant physical component. So don't, as Dave said, don't munchkin out on it. And, you already have your stats. But I just want to let you know, when you're thinking about how you're going to build your character, balance matters a lot.
Sure.
You're going to want to have physical and magical because, the world is an unstable place.
Okay. Okay. I don't actually have. I've got the stats for the wizard character built out, but I'd have to go back and actually think about what his shtick is.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll get that to you later.
Sure, no problem. For the
He
you're
is
talking
all
about for
about
the. Say it again.
I said he is all about running away.
Okay.
He who hides and runs away can run away another day. He's got his first level spells are catapult, so he can like pick up a rock and like do something, and the rock goes flying away from him and slams into his enemy. Expeditious retreat, snare, so he can set snares to keep people from being able to chase him, and witch bolt, which allows him to curse someone and then do more and more damage to them. So it's all about trying to make people either run away from him or him being able to run away from them.
That works.
Yeah.
This is your backup character.
Yes. So I was thinking about doing. I think the focus for this guy was all like flowers. Like most of his magic comes from either different kinds of flowers or maybe like some particular type of insect, and they're like different kinds of fireflies or something like that, or maybe getting this insect to feed off of this sap. And so he's kind of running around with these little cricket cages, and so he's constantly trying to feed different things to different insects, and he's got his little wizard notebook, and he's trying to figure out what kind of magical effects he can get out of getting these insects to consume these magical plants, and so
That sounds good. Do you like either of those characters more?
I think I like the orc one more, just because I think it would be fun and funny to play an orc priest. People take one look at him and expect him to be an orc, just a savage brute, and he definitely has that side to him. But he's also a holy man, and he's also concerned with things like justice.
Right.
But like I said, the path of trying to figure out what justice means in this world is interesting.
Right. Okay, cool. That sounds good. It is just past 10 o'clock, so it's a good wrap-up time for us.
Yep.
I'm going to write up some of the stuff we talked about in a document in the shared folder, so that we can pass it on to Jackson or LT, or Jared might join for some. Also, Aaron might join for some. Like I said, I've got about 9 people who have some level of interest, either being an NPC or being a player or something like that. Jacob wants to join for some.
Cool.
I told Jacob he has to play a serious character because it's a serious thing, right? We're not looking for comic relief this time.
That's too bad because he was fantastic comic relief.
Yeah, he's a nut. But also, then he was 13. He's about to turn 15.
A much more serious young man, I'm sure.
Sure. He's doing great. He's a good kid. Okay. Well, so that sounds good. I'm going to write that stuff up, and we will see what we can do. As far as, what did I call it? Intro, outro lyrics and stuff like that. Let me figure out what I can figure out and make a little progress there. Feel free to ask me any questions. Tell me what I can do.
Sweet.
And next week we'll plan on more of season 2.
Cool. I guess I'll shoot you an email, you and Jackson an email, and we can sort
sounds
something
good.
out. Sweet.
Cool. One last thing I guess I just want to mention is because I'm going to have the season start a certain way, I think I might do 1 or 2 of you at a time. So the first 4, maybe the first 2 episodes, you each get a half episode that's just you in the woods, and then you meet up over a series of events. So you're not gonna know each other. You're gonna chance upon each other some way or another, and then you'll have to figure out if you're gonna kill each other or not, or whatever. Cool.
Nice.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. Let me get good. We're still on OBS. To all our listeners / viewers, happy birthday. I didn't introduce us before, but I am Matt Talamini, a web developer and author. You can find all my stuff at Talamini. What is it? MattTalamini.com?
MatthewTalamini.com.
TALAMINI is how you spell Talamini.
Can I be Josh? I want to be Josh this time.
Yeah, and this is Josh.
Yes! I'm Josh Stewart. You can find me all over the internet at bigfoot.com/Bigfoot with J. Stewart. Bigfoot.
My name is Sir Robert Burbridge, and you can find my stuff at thefarce.net. Also, you can find a rabbit there.
Hi, my name's Dave Farrell. I don't have stuff.
Get off my lawn.
I should have said get off my lawn.
Okay, well, thanks everybody, and
Hi, my name's Dwight Knoll, and tonight we're sponsored by Enron.
That was a good impression.
All right.
Oh, crap.
Right, Knoll.
All right.
Tonight, we're sponsored by Tesla. Send me a Tesla, Elon Musk.
Let me do our outro here. Thank you. I have heard rumors that failure is beautiful. It's not been my experience, but I'm willing. And that if you are listening to our podcast, thank you. And you reap what you sow. So have a good night and bye.